Welcome to the Blue Ocean Solutions podcast, where we highlight conversations with innovators and business leaders driving progress in clean tech, construction, and the renewable energy sectors. Our guest is Rounak Kharait, Executive Director of E3 Consulting Services based out of Denver, Colorado. On today's episode, we discuss their independent engineering consulting oversight and optimization for large-scale solar, battery storage, and other power projects. Welcome to the podcast, Rounak. How are you?
Thanks, Kreel. I'm great. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yes, my pleasure. Well, I'm really excited to hear and share with the audience what you guys are doing at Free. So please, why don't you introduce yourself, also your role at the company, and the main focus of the business?
Great. So yeah, my name is Rounak Kharait, and I am the, as you said, Executive Director for Solar at E3 Consulting. I have been here for about 6 months now, but I have significant experience in the solar energy industry, about 15 years or so. My background has been specifically on the energy assessment side. I've been privileged enough to be a part of few teams across different companies like Orsted, NextEra Energy Resources, DNV, Leidos, to name a few of the companies that I've worked on. But my subject matter expertise per se has been on energy assessment, on solar energy assessment. I have been also fortunate enough to be a part of the validation cycle for energy assessments for solar in the past 10 odd years. So my role here at E3 Consulting is specifically focused on independent engineering, owners engineering, and field engineering for solar projects. E3 Consulting has been in the industry for about 26 years, and we provide the same services for different power projects, renewables or non-renewables. My focus is specifically on solar, and we have other team members who do batteries. We have other team members who do coal-based, bagasse, other power-fired projects. So my focus is focused on the solar side.
Excellent. So how big is the company then? Been around for a long time in your aspect of the solar side.
Yeah, the company has been around, like I said, 26 years, and we are we were acquired by NASE a few years ago, so we are a part of the NASE family. We on E3 we have about 20 people, but the NASE family is quite big. So we are backed up by the NASE corporation as well.
Okay, excellent. Well, there's been a lot of transformations within the solar industry in 2025. Give us a little bit of an insight of what's happening currently in your business with consulting and the projects that you're working on.
Yeah, the past year and a half has been kind of headwinds for renewables, like everybody knows. But the belief is stronger within our team and consulting, and in general, the renewable energy industry, that we are here for the long run. Right? The purpose is very clear. We need to have more energy to match the demand, and the fastest deployable, cheapest form of energy today is solar and batteries. Like it's very simple. We will face headwinds for the next few years, but the belief is strong on the purpose behind what we're doing. So for the past year and a half, a lot of our focus has been on independent engineering services and owners engineering services for these renewable energy projects. And my focus has been on the solar side. So I have seen supporting a lot of mergers and acquisitions where cash equities have tried to come in and see if they can support these fast timelines that have been accelerated due to the change in the government and reduction in the tax credit. So that has been a lot of our focus.
Yeah, it makes sense. I speak to a lot of people inside the solar industry, and the common phrase I'm sure you've heard it is the solar coaster. And so with the changing administration and now these tax credits going to be ending at the end of the year, there's definitely been maybe hesitation in some areas, but there's also been an expedition in order to get some projects finished before the end of the year. So what have you seen on your side directly related to that?
Yeah, good question. As I was mentioning before, a lot of M&A activities, right? So in order to get these projects executed quicker, there is a requirement for immediate cash, right? So what a typical developer tries to get some cash out of the project so that they can accelerate the deployment of the assets. So then cash equities come in, and other financial institutes who want to get want to get the right returns for the right time by taking advantage of the tax credits that's been happening. So we've been supporting the technical due diligence of it. As you know, like with more speed, there is a higher chance of not having good quality projects out there. So our job as a technical consultant is to make sure that we adhere to the best quality and provide the best projects that are being executed. Because in the long run, we want the projects to actually generate revenue that they're supposed to generate. And we shouldn't miss something in terms of quality assurance and data analysis that we need to because of just of the expedited timeline.
How do you guys balance that at E3 being the amount of projects that are coming in, pressure from the marketplace to move forward faster, but also wanting to maintain your high quality end product? How do you guys balance all of that? And is there any aspects of that process that you have automated to try to move things faster?
Yeah, a lot of it comes from our experience. Like I said, E3 supports a bench of consulting for 26 years and for different kinds of power projects. So conceptually, we understand how these projects are supposed to be built. At the end of the day, those are electrons that are coming out, right? So we understand the core civil, electrical, structural mathematics behind it, and we have core engineers who've done this work for a long time. Along with that, like you mentioned, we are also taking support of process improvement methods in our traditional deliverables. We've been trying to use AI to update our processes, making it quicker, making sure that we deliver the right product and then focus on the right things. For example, if we are able to generate text report out of the data that we provided using some kind of an AI tool, we know what areas we need to focus on rather than we spend more time in digging through the documents and really finding out what we need to look at. So we try to use kind of have a balance of all that. At the end, it should be an experienced individual looking at that information, but to filter that out and getting it in a form that is, useful for taking the next steps, we are using a lot of AI and a lot of process improvement techniques.
I think I agree with your approach. I think the right balance is utilizing AI tools so that you can expedite some of the manual process or the research side. But at the end of the day, you're still going to need that human intelligence to be added so that the data can be sifted through, customization, your long experience, with free for 26 years. Obviously, you guys have the background there. With your experience using AI and all this extra consulting work, give us a little bit of a ballpark of how many projects in a year, let's say 2024 compared to 2025, is your solar side at E3 working on? How many clients?
Well, I have joined E3 pretty recently, so I don't have the right numbers, but I would say at least twice or two and a half times the number of clients we had previously from the year. And one of reasons I was hired here was to increase the solar practice. So we have worked with repeat customers with our traditional power projects, and they have interest or they have had interest in expanding their work into renewables. So we've been supporting that. But with me coming in, I have the industry contacts and the belief of the industry that I can help grow the practice. So that's why I'm here to increase our solar practice as well.
That's wonderful. So you guys are really in an expansion scaling mode. Up until this point, what has been your traditional kind of lead generation? How do you acquire new clients into your business?
Yeah, like I said, since we've been in the business for so long, a lot of it has been, we've been supporting these traditional power projects, utilities, some of the developers who have done combined cycle, gas cycle projects in the past and worked with banks and lenders who have, financed these projects. So they know of us. And when these developers slash banks slash, cash equities want to invest in renewable solar storage, we then support them. So that's kind of a natural transition or a natural pool for us to look into. The second part is looking into our, my contacts and our solar team. There's a solar team who does some BD work as well. So we reach out to certain folks that we know are requiring our services, right? So that also involves attending conferences, presenting at those conferences, being the face of that, field to make sure that people know what we do. We are well known on the power sides, and we are getting to be there for the solar and batteries. So that's why we are doing all the marketing approach to make sure we get those right leads into our company.
Excellent. It sounds like you've been given a focus to help expand the company into 2026, moving from, referrals from existing clients to kind of word of mouth within the industry. Have you also considered more active outreach campaigns such as advertising or email in order to get your guys' message in front of new people who may not be aware of your services?
Yes, we have a marketing person within E3. And like I said at the start of the podcast, we are a part of the NACE family, right?
Hmm.
So the NACE family has its own set of marketing and sales personnel who are working hand in hand with us to provide the services that we can provide and what they can provide. So there's like a synergistic approach from all of us to make sure that we get the right people or get us in front of the right people. So that has been a pretty coherent approach from our end.
Perfect. Now, when you say the right people, can you give our audience an insight of who your ideal client profile is, your ICP, and what traditionally is their problems that you kind of identified, their pain points, the solutions that you provide, and maybe a case study to show the end result?
Yeah. So, like I was mentioning, we have three verticals that we typically support, and I'll focus on solar for this conversation. Independent engineering is one of them. To peel the onion a little bit, independent engineering is providing a technical due diligence report for a certain solar asset so that the lender or financier is having an idea about the risk profile of the project. So that's independent engineering. That's one vertical. Second is owner's engineering, an owner who has or a developer who has a piece of land and then they want to develop this solar project. We can help them select the right module, the right inverter, the right DCAC ratio, and what we are going to talk about, the optimization part. We can help them with that as well. And the third one is field engineering, which has kind of exploded a little bit in the past few months because, as we talked about, building new greenfielding projects, especially on the solar side, is now more difficult. So people are now looking at their existing assets and trying to think whether what they can do to improve their existing asset performance. So that's where we come in and do the analysis for them and help them understand what they could improve to get, or do what they could do to improve their performance. So in terms of an example for independent engineering, like I said, a company who or a developer who have developed the project up to a certain stage and now they want to get it financed through different financing mechanisms, we can provide them a complete technical due diligence report to help them get the project financed. That report includes sections like energy assessment, which I am the subject matter expert for, civil analysis, electrical, structural, environmental and permitting, financial model review, and so on and so forth. So we have subject matter experts with 15 plus years of experience for each of those sections to provide a very comprehensive report.
That's incredible. I can tell through the conversation and your experience really shines through, but also your confidence in area of expertise. So I would imagine the clients that you work with end up with reports that they feel very confident around so that they can make large financial decisions of investment or pivots if necessary.
Absolutely, yeah. And the key to our reports is also the fact that we work with our clients. Like sometimes, or rather a lot of times, there are going to be areas where the independent opinion is going to be different than what the developer's opinion is, or that opinion is going to be different than what the financer opinion is. So in that case, our strength and especially my strength lies in making sure we negotiate and talk to each other and then come up with a solution which is mutually agreeable to all the parties. That's where our company shines and our team shines because inherently, because there are three different purposes or different mindsets for developer, financier, and the IE, there's going to be a conflict of interest at some point. The key is to make sure that we communicate and be very clear and how we look at that risk and complete that in terms of getting everybody on the same page.
It sounds like client management is very important to you
Absolutely.
there, and with clear communication. So let's say that's your strength. Then on the flip side, what are some of the challenges that you're facing in your business in growing it or being able to deliver your services?
Yes, speed is required now, like because of the situation we are in, people are trying to get the projects expedited as soon as they can to take advantage of the tax credits. So there is a high chance of making mistakes when you are doing things at top speed, right? So that's a risk. The other risk is on the QAQ of the data that is available. Sometimes you are just trying to get to it too quickly, and you might miss something again along the same lines. That I think is one of the big risks. On the broader perspective, we want to make sure that the projects that are being built are actually going to generate the revenue that they're supposed to generate. So a lot of things go into it, whether the technology is right, whether the project has been optimized correctly, whether it's been modeled correctly, and what are the risks that needed to be identified. This should be generally looked at via an independent engineer, but this becomes especially important in the times where you're going to try to turn out reports quicker. It's a speed is the challenge right now, but like I said, experience and using some of the AI tools is going to help us navigate that in the next few months.
Do you see that challenge? Let's call it a bottleneck. That bottleneck, do you think that's a temporary nature, as in, towards the end of this year that will change? Like, do you see the same amount of activity happening in 2026 in Q1?
I would think so. So the tax credits, the deceleration of the tax credits is still happening next year, right? It's not completely going away, but I'm expecting the pace to slow down a little bit after that. However, this is a time for innovation. Like if we have time, or we need efficiency, we can use that going forward. And I'm sure there'll be other challenges in 6 months to face, but we can learn and adapt and adjust, which has been uh, you know the hallmark of the solar industry. We have always ridden the solar coaster by hanging on tight, but at the same time learning that from our last dip down in the roller coaster, this is what we did wrong, and here is how we are going to improve. So we are doing that right now, and we'll be continuing to do that as we move forward.
Spoken like a true entrepreneur and someone who's been in the industry for a while.
Thank you.
Very, very, very good. Yes. Within the changing of the times, there's always the opportunity for resilience and also new opportunities. So, in meeting this bottleneck for you guys, do you think it comes down to solution orientated being hiring more people, or is it improved operations, or is it allowing time to pass so that things kind of become more balanced shortly?
I would say it's a combination of the first two things you said, right? Hiring the right people is also extremely important. I firmly believe having a good team who know what they're doing and are working towards a proper vision and a mission is extremely important. I also think that process improvement should be a part of any team. You cannot be doing the same things with the same efficiency, either quality or quantity, and not improve. So you need to think about how I can do the same work in either a short time or better quality in order to keep ourselves progressing so we can deliver better quality products and efficient products to our customers. So it's a combination of both the first two things, I think.
There's going to be many people in our audience that are in the solar industry, but are also in just the renewable energy sector. And
Yeah.
they realize that there are inefficiency in their business. And they also would agree with your statement being like, you want to have the right people, but you also want to have a streamlined operation system. So if you were to think about your current scenario and you were to wave a magic wand and fix one or two overly manual processes in your business flow, what would those be? Because I'm sure our audience members will also either be experiencing the same thing and looking for
Yeah.
solutions themselves.
Yeah, very good question. If I really had a magic wand, which probably I'll have tomorrow at Halloween, I work with multiple stakeholders with different companies. So, and every company has their own way of communicating and providing feedback and information. So there are platforms available who bring all the multiple companies together so that they could communicate well, but it is not as efficient. Right. For example, if the lender is asking me a question, we have a format where it is, but it's not a standardized format. So if all of us could come up with like a common way of communicating, and this is how we could save time to go back and forth, that'll be one thing that I could think of. The other thing is probably making sure that I'll have access to the problems that my clients are facing sooner. I spend a lot of time trying to interview and understand what they are really looking for.
Mhm.
It's a part of my role. But if I can have magic wand to help me filter out, okay, this is what they need, so I can actually focus straight on what they want, would be very interesting. These are both pie in the sky concepts, but might as well, it's Halloween tomorrow, so why not?
No, I think they're wishes that many business owners have. Thankfully, with AI, a lot of these processes are being more efficient, and indeed have a few solutions that I could suggest to you. But when you're speaking with a client, what does that process look like? So you're jumping on a call, even though you're an engineer, it also seems like you're involved with the sales and customer delivery side. So when you're on a call with a client, what information are you gathering? What is your due diligence or customer acquisition gathering the research? What are some of the things that you're looking for?
So some of the things that I'm looking for is, first, I firmly believe I should be asking the question before I come to a solution. So I ask more questions on what are the problems you are facing and what I could help with. Then
Hmm.
I'll get responses that have to be weighted according to priority as well, which is the biggest needle mover for the customer. If I focus on areas which are not needle movers to the customer, then I'm wasting both of our times. So when I'm interviewing my potential candidate, not candidates, clients, I would be talking to them about what their problem is very clearly, and then narrowing down where is the biggest needle mover for them, and then provide the value proposition from our side as to how we could help them.
Do you find in your role that most of the conversations lead to new client acquisition, or in the discovery process, there is an unqualified process that also occurs where it's just not a fit? Either the client's not a fit for your services, or you can't provide what they're looking for.
Yeah, totally. That happens. Like as we interview each other, almost there is a chance that we are not able to provide the service they are looking for, and vice versa. So there are chances that happens. Sometimes it happens rarely because I am talking to people who I know are in the industry and are looking for certain solutions. So it happens rarely, but I couldn't say it does not happen.
Makes sense. And I think everybody would agree with you. Having more streamlined either communications or CRM systems, there's definitely a need to address that. So there's going to be some exciting developments happening. As you look into the future from where we are today, what is your company's biggest priorities for growth and innovation over the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, expansion in our solar team is one big, which is one of the main reasons I'm here. Expansion in our storage team is also a big priority for us. And the third most important, or not most, like almost important, is also process improvement and leveraging AI to the best ability that we can, so that we could actually focus on the things that provide the experience human value, and not spend time in going through documentations and actually getting to an answer. So I would say those three would be the top priority for us.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And as you then look at the solar industry, but maybe even bigger, the renewable energy sector, what do you see happening over the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years in this industry and your guys' role supporting it?
Very tough question with what's going on, but I firmly believe in purpose, right? Like our purpose as a renewable energy industry is very clear: to have more and more renewables on the ground for the greater good of Mother Earth. It's very, very simple. We want to see our children enjoying the same things that we have enjoyed or are enjoying. So in the next 5 to 10 years, I think there will be a drive for innovation in the industry, because necessity is the mother of all invention. Is that right, Tom?
Yes.
But there is that drive, but I feel we will have a lot of good quality projects coming out. In the initial phases of renewable energy development, it was all build, and forget. Now you have more build, cautiously build, but build good quality projects. So the acceleration might slow down, but it's not going to stop. But we will produce more projects which are actually producing the way they were supposed to produce. So it's kind of a grass is a little greener on the other side situation, where you will go through a pain point, will do some innovation, but then more quality projects are going to be created, because it is inevitable. Energy demand is there. That's not going away. The fastest deployable source of energy is solar and storage. That is just the fact. So we just need to buckle up on the roller coaster, like you were saying, and learn, innovate, and then we will continue to go on the upper trajectory by working and developing better projects moving forward.
Moving forward, how we have touched on it a little bit, but I'd like to just like get your input. How big a deal is going to be battery storage and battery technology as we move into the next 10 years?
It's going to be a very big deal. The whole argument against renewable energy was that it doesn't produce energy when the wind is gone or the sun is not there. And the evolution of storage has kind of flipped that question on its head. We have our cell phones which use batteries, and people don't realize how often they use batteries. That has helped the advancement of battery technology and the R&D in that. And now we are at a time where we can implement it at large scale moving forward. So if we have the right combination of renewable energy designed and optimized, we can actually provide 24/7 support. It's just that you need to think about how you could do that using renewables. So the advancement in battery technology is critical for moving forward for the renewable energy industry.
Rounak, I really enjoyed this conversation. I'm so glad you decided to join us on the podcast.
Thank you.
Moving forward, if any of our audience would like to find out more about you, your work in the company, where can they find you? What's the websites and the contact information?
Yeah, so our website is e3consulting.com. So you can find a lot of details on there on what I just spoke about: owners engineering, independent engineering, and field engineering. And you can always find me on LinkedIn. I have my own website as well. I published a book, so that is on there as well. So you can find me on LinkedIn and find that as well. So happy to connect any which ways.
Well, talk about the book. Why don't you tell people in a minute what was your book and what's the purpose of it?
Yeah, so last year I published a book called Building High Performance Resilient Teams. It was in my head for about 25 years, and I finally got the time to write it and publish, because I've been in my previous roles and here. Uh, uh, One of my big passions is to work in a team together, develop, and really work towards a vision and a mission. So that book talks about how I have implemented that in my experience. There are other books available, but this is like a small booklet for a new manager who is trying to develop a new team, and really trying to see how they can build championship teams. I mean, you can win a championship once, but you need to keep winning it every year and year. So, but for that, you need to build the right foundation. You need to know the right people. You need to know what kind of people are in your team, their personalities. Some people need a hand on their shoulder. Some people just need to be told very clearly what needs to be done. So you need to have that feeling. So I had experienced that in the past, and hopefully people will find that interesting. And it's a tribute to my coach. I played cricket previously, and my coach instilled the leadership qualities that I've been using the same principles for the past 25 years. So I dedicated that book to him, and hopefully people will find it interesting.
Excellent. So, what's the name of the book and where can people find it if they're interested?
Yeah, it's called Building High Performance Resilient Teams. It's on Amazon, and I have my own website, rounakharait.com. So if you search that, you should find a link to the book there.
All right, excellent. And to our audience, if you've enjoyed this conversation, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and share it with somebody that might be interested in the free consulting services. Rounak, I'm so glad you joined us. I think E3 Consulting Services should be very happy to have such a high quality person, executive on their team. So I'm glad you're here to share the message. Do you have any final closing words?
Yeah, just hang on to the roller coaster and let's keep innovating and keep learning.
Excellent. There you have it, folks. There's another episode of Blue Ocean Solutions podcast. We'll see you on the next one.